Pistons are acquiring James Wiseman from the Warriors in exchange for Saddiq Bey. Was a big name in 2020. He's the former #2 overall pick in that, and when Golden State needed to cut salary, the Pistons came calling. The Pistons have the worst record in the Eastern potential. Long playoff runs, you guys, are still years away for this team, and it's disappointing for Pistons fans who are so hungry, who are used to champions.
I want to give a huge shout out to Kyrie Irving because this is by far one of the most exciting trade deadlines that we have ever covered in my entire career. Seriously, every single year, the trade deadline becomes this really hyped up and anticipated thing, and then by the end of the trade deadline, we just get a bunch of what ifs and what could have beens. Not this year. We already made a video on the crazy D'Angelo Russell trade, which I referred to as the trade of the year, only for the Phoenix Suns to come up to me and say, yo, Mike, hold my beer. We're going to outdo that. So before we get to the content, make sure you drop, like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow. We're on the grind to 700,000 subscribers. And now that we get all of that out of the way, do the intro. Usually when this happens, we all make bank. PrizePicks is hooking us up for the Super Bowl with a free square from Patrick Mahomes, which means Mahomes just needs one passing yard in order for his square to convert. So all you have to do if you want to join is go to the link in the description down below, download PrizePicks, and use my promo code microphone so they can match up to $100 of your deposit. And once you're done with that, make these picks. Obviously, you should go with the Patrick Mahomes 0.5 passing yards and click more. Once you're done with that, one of my sleepers is going to be Kenneth Gainwell, who has been a monster throughout the playoffs for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he just needs to get higher than 21.5 rush yards. So we're going to click more there, and if Kenneth Gainwell gets more than 21.5 rush yards, you could 3x your money. Now, if you feel really good about this, you could also add Travis Kelce scoring 1 touchdown, and if both of these hit, you 5x your money. I play PrizePicks each and every day, and I post my picks to my story on Instagram. So make sure you're following me there if you want to see my picks on a daily basis. And thank you, PrizePicks, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The Golden State Warriors were in a very sticky and admirable situation. It's kind of like a gigantic puzzle that they needed to solve. You see, this is a team that clearly has a tremendous amount of talent and a tremendous amount of assets. They are currently the defending champions, and they were expected to put up one hell of a fight this year in defending that championship. Unfortunately, it seems like that wasn't the case at all. As a matter of fact, the Golden State Warriors have been one of the most disappointing teams in the Western Conference so far. They're currently just barely over 500. They're 9th place in the Western Conference. The Minnesota Timberwolves are outperforming them. And honestly, as a result of this, a lot of teams have changed their philosophy in regards to roster construction. I firmly believe that the huge reason why the Los Angeles Lakers and the Phoenix Suns made the decisions that they did, well, more the Phoenix Suns than the Los Angeles Lakers, to be honest, because the Golden State Warriors aren't nearly as good as they should be this year. The main reason for this isn't the fact that
Steph Curry's falling off or Draymond Green punched Jordan Poole in the offseason.
It has more to do with the fact that they lost a significant amount of depth in the offseason because all of their best role players got a significant bag, which tends to be the case, by the way, whenever your team wins a championship. Role players get paid significantly and they end up getting exorbitant contracts in free agency. And as a result, the players that needed to step up in the place of those role players haven't necessarily stepped up, or the Warriors haven't necessarily been able to find the chemistry for this team to work together. A few years ago, in an incredibly tumultuous 2020 offseason, which almost became a 2021 offseason because this offseason was held in the fall of 2020, the Golden State Warriors had a hell of a decision to make. Just a few days before the NBA draft, Golden State Warriors found out that Klay Thompson tore his Achilles tendon on top of already tearing his ACL. To the Golden State Warriors, this led to the Golden State Warriors being faced with one question. They have the #2 overall pick in the NBA draft, which means they could easily draft the successor to Klay Thompson at this point. Either Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball will be there at #2 overall. So there's this huge question about what are the Golden State Warriors going to do? Are they going to attempt to draft LaMelo Ball or Anthony Edwards, or would they try to find a center that could potentially fit in with this entire roster, James Wiseman, a player that appeared to be fairly raw throughout his incredibly brief college tenure, but at the very minimum, showed the ability to make shots from the perimeter and possess tremendous versatility. Ultimately, they decided to select James Wiseman with the number 2 overall pick, and LaMelo Ball would get selected by the Charlotte Hornets. Now look, I don't necessarily like to burn teams at the stake for making decisions that didn't end up panning out, so long as the logic and reasoning was there. In this particular instance, it seems like the logic and reasoning was there. During the 2020 season, I'm assuming that the Golden State Warriors expected a down year, and this would be the perfect opportunity for James Wiseman to potentially develop. James Wiseman would play in 39 games in his rookie season, unfortunately, and he would tear his meniscus in April. Throughout the small sample size of games, James Wiseman did show some ability to hit shots from the perimeter, 32% from 3. He shot 52% from the field, and he averaged about 6 rebounds per game and 11.5 points per game. Not necessarily the type of numbers you want to see from your future center, but at the time I said this, and I still stand by this, it takes a while for centers to develop. I don't remember the last time a center came into the NBA at the age of 19 and dominated right off the bat. I mean, I would say like you could maybe make an argument for Emeka Okafor, but Emeka Okafor spent multiple years in college before debuting in the NBA. You can't even say Dwight Howard, because Dwight Howard was average, but he wasn't dominating in his rookie year. I mean, I guess the best example, maybe you could say Blake Griffin, but Blake Griffin's a power forward, and once again, he didn't enter the NBA at the age of 19. At this point, the Golden State Warriors just needed to wait and really invest time into James Wiseman so he could develop. The problem was the fact that the Golden State Warriors couldn't really afford that time anymore, because they quickly became a contender once again, and this time they did it without James Wiseman playing any games. So they did whatever they could to salvage their investment in James Wiseman. They sent him to the G League. They periodically had him coming off of the bench. At the end of the day, the man just didn't fit, and they couldn't afford to invest more time into him. And last year, it was okay for him to come off the bench and maybe wait and see what they were going to do with him. This year, there's a lot more at stake. Golden State Warriors were at the risk of potentially paying luxury tax, for example, and now they had no choice but to trade James Wiseman. And it looks like the team that is trading for James Wiseman is probably the best case scenario for him, and is a team that actually has a history of taking on former number 2 overall picks. So according to Adrian Wojnarowski, the Golden State Warriors are trading James Wiseman to the Detroit Pistons. Detroit is sending back Saddiq Bey to the Atlanta Hawks, and the Golden State Warriors get 5 second-round picks in return. This is a little unfortunate if you're a Golden State Warriors fan. Yeah, you get 5 second-round picks. This move is 100% fueled by salary. You're not really getting any role players in return. I'm not necessarily going to say that the Golden State Warriors made a horrific mistake, because at the same time, I do understand why they drafted Wiseman to begin with. And kudos to them for trading him to a team that makes a lot of sense. I mean, James Wiseman is 21 years old. The man is literally just 1 year older than this year's number 1 overall pick, Paolo Banchero. So I think this is a great situation for James Wiseman to really go to a team that he could develop with. And when you look at the Detroit Pistons, they have a very exciting young core. They have Cade Cunningham, Killian Hayes, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Turin, Marvin Bagley, which they got last year, Kevin Knox, which they got last year, and now they have James Wiseman. All lottery picks, all with tremendous potential, all in a situation where the team could fully invest in their development. I really like what the Detroit Pistons are doing here. This is a huge home run. You're getting a former number 2 overall pick, and you are giving up Saddiq Bey, who's a remarkable player, but it's not necessarily the biggest price to pay to buy low on a player that was once considered to be a better prospect than LaMelo Ball potentially. Now here's the crazy part. You remember how I said in the very beginning of the video that the Golden State Warriors were truly missing something, at least in their rotation, primarily because they lost a lot of depth. A lot of players that made them so good last year were players that were coming off the bench, and also players that got the bag as a result of their championship run, one of those players being Gary Payton Jr. It's pretty interesting because the Golden State Warriors shipped James Wiseman, got a bunch of second-round picks, and rerouted those second-round picks to the Portland Trail Blazers for none other Gary Payton II. Check this out. Gary Payton actually indicated that he didn't want to be in Portland and is ecstatic to return to Golden State. If you pay close attention to the players who have left Portland in the last year, there has been an unabashed excitement upon getting traded, almost like a relief. I don't necessarily know if there's something here. If you guys want me to make a video on this particular topic, let me know in the comment section down below, but I haven't seen enough info about the Portland Trail Blazers having a horrific culture to make its own video. But if you do see something, let me know and tag me in it on Twitter or on Instagram. So according to Adrian Wojnarowski, the official report is the Portland Trail Blazers are trading Gary Payton II to the Warriors for 5 second-round picks, sources tell Woj. Now, here's the interesting thing that a lot of people aren't talking about. When you think of the Golden State Warriors, you think of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Jordan Poole, Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole, Steve Kerr. You don't really think about the players coming off the bench. Here's what Steve Kerr had to say a couple days ago about Gary Payton II when they faced off against Gary Payton II and the Portland Trailblazers.
Everyone loves Gary, and we miss him, but we couldn't be happier for him. He's been toiling away for a long time in this league, and to earn that contract, couldn't happen to a better guy. So it'll be nice to see him out there tonight. Wish he was on our side, but this is the NBA, and this is how it works. So we're thrilled for him.
It's kind of cute, man, because 12 hours before this deal was made, Gary Payton II reposted the Warriors video of him and Jordan Poole exchanging jerseys at their previous game. And he wrote 4L, aka for life. That's pretty freaking serendipitous, if I could say. At the end of the day, man, it's not like the Warriors made a horrific mistake not signing Gary Payton. It's just the fact that Gary Payton II had the opportunity to get it back elsewhere. The Golden State Warriors were hoping that they could make things work with James Wiseman. At the end of the day, that's not what ended up happening, and the Warriors' backs were against the wall. They are not fulfilling their potential this year. We could all agree upon that. A huge reason for that is because of their lack of depth off the bench. This solves that. Now, how much this is going to solve that, we're going to have to wait and see. Oh man, we just got some news that completely changed the vibe of this entire report, and it's definitely a Warriors fan's worst nightmare, especially after the wholesome content I've shared with you guys in regards to how Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors feel about Gary Payton II joining the team. It looks like that's in jeopardy right now. So according to Cham Sharania, who literally tweeted this as I was about to upload the video, so thankfully I didn't end up posting this, just in, a failed physical exam of Gary Payton II has placed the Golden State Warriors, Portland, Detroit, Atlanta 4-team deal in serious jeopardy. Payton's core muscle injury could sideline him for up to 3 months following a Warriors exam. So the Warriors have until Saturday to go through with the trade, or the entire 4-team deal could be rescinded. Golden State obviously reacquired Gary Payton at the trade deadline on Thursday. Man, this is very, very unfortunate if you're the Golden State Warriors. At this point, what do you do? Do you hold on to Gary Payton? Do you decide to rescind this deal because you can't really play him for another 3 months? Or do you just play the long game because Gary Payton obviously is very revered in that locker room? There's a very difficult decision that needs to be made by the Golden State Warriors here, and it's not a really clear one either. Imagine if they rescind this offer and then James Wiseman shows back up into the locker room, says, "What's up, guys? I'm back." Be pretty awkward, I have to admit. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below, man. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.